Yo, it is June 11th, 2023, just a few minutes after midnight. And there is a storm somewhat headed in our direction. So it looks like right as it's getting to us, it's fading out. But we might see something, as I've seen a number of flashes of lightning thus far. As you can see, this line was pretty intense when it, I suppose, was just in the northern areas of greater Houston, or just past those northern areas. And I believe we'll still see some portion. If this ends up being worthwhile, it's Lightning Lab number 5. So, the camera is facing more east. The iPhone is, but the GoPro is facing like south and west and east. Like you get it's a pretty large field of view, so you'll probably be able to see the flashes on that before anything else. And then as whatever passes over, likely this camera will do a better job. That was my right knee. That was like in the area that, like that pop felt good. That's what I'm trying to get at. It's in the area that I'm always trying to work. I just got home from a Houston Dynamo game. They played LAFC. Houston won 4-0. and Olsen has them playing well for the first time in uh, years. Pretty bright, interesting looking flash. Again, north or west, so don't really have advantage on it. Maybe on the GoPro. I didn't say we because I mean I support the players and I support the idea of a team in Houston, but I'm still pretty jaded and disappointed that the Dynamo organization did some deceptive activity several years ago and lied to my parents about something, and it caused a huge problem with my family. And I ended up being like kicked out of the house. Like, anyway, it was a big, difficult situation. I lived out of my car for a while, but and the thing that ended up saving me was that I had bought crypto in like a good amount of Ethereum in 2015 or 16. It was like 90 cents, so that saved me. But it's really disappointing because it's a team that I followed like since their inception here in Houston, and basically they were putting on Dynamo trials, which are just tryouts that nobody ever made the team, and like it really didn't matter how good you were, how much you showed off. Like they weren't really looking for players from there, and that was one of the things that we brought up about it that was deceptive, because even people internally, like their employees, from several employees, had said it's just a marketing thing, which duh, but you know that's pretty pathetic that a team is doing that, because essentially, you know, they're charging $150 for something that you didn't actually have any benefit, like any chance of making anything, and then really the way they would make money from it is they sold the like sponsorship rights to it. So it was the Dynamo tryouts presented by whatever company paid them a good amount of money, and when we brought up that it was I was working for my mom as her legal assistant at the time, and when we took it to them on legal letterhead, one of their employees lied and said like slanderous stuff about me that ended up disrupting the relationship between my parents and I. And just it was when all this Stefanie Joosten stuff was also going on, where it was like really obvious, like the veil was lifted on whatever was going on with Metal Gear Solid and Hideo Kojima and Stefanie Joosten, where it's like seemingly Stefanie Joosten was put into Metal Gear Solid, The Phantom Pain, like as some kind of, the best way I could describe it is like a psyop, but I don't like I don't really. It was just something I think specifically created to like disturb and like tear down my mental health and like attack at me specifically. And I think I have the art pre Metal Gear Solid Phantom whatever that very heavily Metal Gear related. Like I used a lot of stuff from that, and then there's very clearly it just hints at it heavily. It's like an artistic way. I mean, cutting up things from different, music, movies, comedians. It's the Yo X1, Yo X2, and Yo X3 mixes, if you're wondering. But you can tell in one of them that it even starts with, it's quiet, too quiet. And, they're all pretty Metal Gear themed, and like, there's the whole like part that's cut out where the Jack and Rose thing, and Rose is like, I lied to you, but I wanted to be caught. And it's, anyway, it just like, I feel like for whatever reason that they're looking at me, I mean, I would suppose that the lightning stuff, uh, I think people were aware of it a while ago, and they've been trying to prevent it, but anyway, they had to do something pretty terrible, like put a character in a video game in order to, like, psychosexually attack me and, like, disturb my mental health and stuff. It seems like a really terrible thing. I keep saying, Hideo Kojima, do you want to comment on this? Like, Stefanie Joosten is presented, like, her whole images, which seem to start, like, right around, her social media presence, seem to start right around the time that Metal Gear Solid V Phantom Pain was announced, and it seems like the whole thing was to present a, like, chaste-looking, attractive young model who is, like, desirable, has a lot of traits that I might like, and then she ends up being, like, I don't know, just some toy to whatever group of men or women, or men and women, that wanted to, like, I think it's abuse and mentally disturb and attack me, attack my mental health, attack my spiritual health, and whatever. And it's a terrible thing, and I also think it's probably pretty connected to that food sacrifice to idols thing from the 7 churches of Asia in the Book of Revelation. And so it ended up seemingly connecting that and manifesting that kind of thing in real life, because Quiet is the partner of Venom Snake, or Ahab. And, like, who else is that? Jezebel. Jezebel is the partner of Ahab. And, I mean, again, it's like an artistic way where people can, like, float these ideas, but it's plausibly deniable and, whatever. But it's just, I mean, at some point I think the lightning stuff is going to prove out, and it's going to be like, oh yeah, they clearly had the intent to hurt me. And, well, the people here in Houston really didn't react to it well, because I think they were watching anyway on whatever kind of weird Truman Show thing my reality is. But, I don't know. Not only did they not help, but they made it worse and lied on me some more. But whatever. Not everybody here, but it does seem weird that, like, nobody's willing to just, like, hey, yeah, this is clearly happening, and, like, people have attacked you in a way that is really wrong. And, like, seemingly, after that, again, it seems like celebrities got in on it, too. Like, more celebrities. And I think the whole Stefanie Joosten thing is, like, hinting at Alessandra Ambrosio. Like, she literally does a movie afterwards called Becoming Alessandra. And just like or Alessandra and the Fitter. I'm sorry. And it's not like it's the most common name. But also, just all the stuff she's in is like art to throw at me. It seems like it's like, again, people signaling at me in images, and they can just pretend, like, plausibly deniable that it's not happening. And yet at a certain point, like, I've said in hyperbole, when I pull lightning from the sky, I mean, maybe it could happen. I don't put it past the reality of Yahweh is helping me. But I mean, you can already see definite, like, it's not normal that I do a stretch or, like, do something like this and you see lightning, you know what I mean? It's not like something just anybody seems to do. Though, again, I don't think it was, like, out of the grasp of anybody or everybody. It's just, I'm the person who believes in Yahweh and, like, is acknowledging the reality of the 7 churches of Asia and Revelation as, like, an if-then conditional statements list. And if you meet the if-then conditional statements, you get the gifts or prizes. I think I'm going to get those gifts and prizes, because it seems like I actually have these things manifest in my reality, as I've kind of been explaining. And so, there's probably more elements to it, but this is the gist of it. And it's just, it's still not easy dealing with all this stuff. Like, I feel like I'm in some kind of weird Truman Show where I'm being, like harassed by celebrities. Like, why is why is Selena Gomez like going to? I saw a Barstool Sports thing where, like a tweet that they put out where she goes to like some random pickup soccer game and like is like shouting, "I'm single," and like I'm high maintenance. Okay, it's like my whole thing is, well then come on, Selena Gomez, speak out about whatever this is, or just like then there's another clear example with who else? Hailey Bieber seemingly is also doing stuff like that, and I mean there's other celebrities, but it's like okay, why would why would she? People don't do stuff for no reason when they have like very large images to protect like that because their image is their money. And so everything they do is thought out. It's not like, unless it's subconsciously done or something. But for the most part, they have people that literally like like manage their brand. So if something like that seems like just a random thing, it's not, right? And so the whole point is that there's a person here in Houston that plays soccer, like literally has a soccer YouTube channel, and is like, it looks like I'm pretty connected to the Lightning and all sorts of other stuff to me. And if you're watching my private photo gallery on my phone, which it seems like this is the part where it's like, am I being like, what is going on? Where it seems like people are directly responding to things in my private like photo gallery on my phone, which should be private, right? What's going on around me that's the case. But okay, so before I get back into this, the common themes are when I talk, when I do this kind of kneeling lunge thing, and you know, get into the muscle groups associated with it or whatever micro actions, or when I'm standing and doing this kind of thing, digging in and supporting all my weight through this leg and through certain muscle groups, or those are the three most common things that you see some kind of lightning interaction. Is that lightning? But when I do really it's when I do a lot of motions, like different things, but there are certain things that just seem to more commonly bring it out. Those are some of them. That kind of thing, like a back bend, or I don't know, all sorts of things. Seemingly, it's like I think part of it is it seems to just be associated with what I'm doing, but certain things are like I have a greater chance to show a reoccurring pattern or something that's reproducible by doing certain specific actions. But as I've said, I think it's the reason that you see some kind of interaction is that it's Yahweh doing this, and he can direct everything around me and what I'm doing, and like he's slowly unveiling the reality that yes, the seven churches of Asia is an active thing in the Book of Revelation, and that seemingly I'm the one that is going to or is seated on the throne with Jesus and Yahweh. As it says, the one who conquers at the Church of Laodicea and all 6 churches ahead of it. And so, that this is the slow unveiling process associated with, who that person would be. So, back to talking about the Nicolaitans or whoever this group, like, whatever. I mean, it feels like that's what the celebrities are, like some group of people that are like, why are they doing this? Like, I don't have anything against Selena Gomez. She's cute. And, Hailey Bieber. I mean, she's cute, but like, it appears like both of them are like trying to make points at me. And it's like, what? Along with other people, but those are just, and it's like plausibly deniable. But if you're me, it's pretty, like, it's obvious. I mean, and I would say this is why the lightning thing, because it's like, again, lightning seems to interact with, and be like, yeah, no, duh. Like, here, let me let me help show that Matt is being so honest that like you can literally see the lightning seemingly calling people out on their bullshit. So anyway, I don't really have a problem with them other than they seem to be like specifically trying to antagonize me, along with other celebrities. Alessandra Ambrosio, like, I mean, it just seems like she's part of that thing. I mean, is she Jezebel or is that someone else? I'd like her to just be, I don't know, wife, lover, girlfriend, daughter, mommy, whatever weird, like, whatever weird thing that is not where she's Jezebel and harassing me, but it just doesn't seem to be going in that direction. So, bummer. Um, and again, I would be like, it does sound grandiose, right? But I don't think it's an illusion. And part of the whole lightning thing that I'm attempting to prove out here is like, yeah, Yahweh actually exists, and it's like, I'm pretty sure I'm the guy on the throne of Yahweh. I'm the only person I hear talk about it. The guy on the throne of Jesus with Jesus, and it looks like he's gonna cause problems for people until like someone, ends this silly game, and all these people that I've named seemingly are watching and could have ended it at any point, and yet it also seems to be the thing that's like, once we end it, we can go to that place that's a singularity, the kingdom of heaven, where it's like, past time and whatever, and people live forever, and it's a party into eternity, right? Just like everything's fixed and everything's better, and all the ills of the world are gone. sounds great to me. But I think people are being paid off or like given social, uh, they're given social credit or whatever for like continuing to antagonize me and like try to tear me down and whatever. Just seems like it. I guess I could be wrong, but that doesn't look like it. Hopefully, Yahweh gives us a pretty incredible show. I think even if the lightning isn't like a ton numerically, like, first of all, you're welcome to the people around. Though, probably with the whole like multiple things being struck by lightning here in Houston recently, he could just go crazy, you know what I'm saying? And like cause problems for all sorts of people, but he's being patient and long suffering, or I'm being those things, and so I guess he's being like working slowly to show like, okay, at a certain point you can just cause way more problems way more obviously, but it's like a slow process until people kind of, hey, yeah, probably Matt Wilkins, this guy who meets the conditions to sit on the throne of Yahweh from the Bible, and like, I haven't been in anything, but Christians, you should like we should already be allies, right? But like I'm like, it was like, I even brought this up in the previous video. Like, I haven't done anything that I would think other than be like a kind, good person. Other than when I was attacked or initially by Stefanie Joosten, whatever that whole situation is. But I feel like I've been pretty reasonable and kind and like whatever to all sorts of groups, LGBTQ and everything else after. Like, I'm more concerned with what's going on around me and like fixing the problem that I'm talking about. And honestly, like I've said, it's pretty annoying to me that Christians are focused on like whatever other people are doing instead of like, hey, you need to create a system where if I want a virgin wife and I'm a Christian male, if I can't find that, that's a problem. That's like one of those things that would prevent faith from being like, it just makes it harder to believe if your wife has fucked somebody else before you. That's like difficult to think about. So welcome to my reality all the time. Welcome to why I think Yahweh is working with me on this, because LGBTQ, if you helped me fix this problem and called some hypocrite Christians out, or the Christians, if you actually help me on this problem instead of focusing on them, probably you'd see less issues between all sorts of groups of people. And it just seems to be the thing of the day that whatever is going on, instead of like, hey, can you just help me fix this problem? I do think again that there's a reason that, like, I think the whole Jesus on Mount Zion with 144,000 virgins, or the one like a son of man. I think Jesus is saying the whole point of the seven churches thing is I was attacked in my sexuality. Like, I think Stefanie Joosten was just like some sleazy girl that they made to look chaste, and then were just doing all sorts of whatever. I mean, she's a porn star behind the scenes, and the whole thing is to like lift a curtain on that, and then so Yahweh caught them the other way around, and it's, oh, it looks like I'm gonna be on the throne of Yahweh, 144,000 virgins, and maybe a harem of whoever else, everybody. Like, if I'm Yahweh on the throne, is anything awfulness to me? I mean, I guess what Yahweh would or wouldn't do. I mean, you probably wouldn't be like Caligula, but you'd probably be kind and like, make things enjoyable. But this whole this whole like thing where it's like, hey, it's also in capitalism, like, look, like, sex is already for sale. It's just like how much time and effort or whatever that people are willing to put in, or whatever contractually that people do these days. It might be you go on a date and he buys your drink and you're like, I'll sleep with him, or it's like you've already decided, but like, well, would he buy you a drink, or would he do this or that for you? And it's like, because after based on our society's situation, it's like, I mean, there's no reason not to just use sex as a transactional thing instead of like tie it to something intimately, tie it to someone intimately, and like hypothetically, probably uh, whatever. You can see the supernatural stuff that seems to go on around me, just like the pretty extraordinary stuff, I think, and he does have a sense of humor, yeah. And so, like, here, like, I think probably he massively, but like, it seems like developing like powers of deity. Like, why those who are attached to me would probably be just as filled with the Holy Spirit. Does that make sense? Like, they're filled with the Spirit of Yahweh. It's Yahweh who's doing all this, and I guess if I'm working with him, filled with the Spirit, believing his Son, well then, yeah, probably get to sit on the throne with him. And anyway, I would like a wife or multiple, like a whole harem of virgins or whatever. Yeah, that'd be great to like make up for like the psychological, spiritual, somewhat physical, like at times abuse, psychosexual. I think this is super rapey what they've done. Like the whole, I think it's made more palatable when it's described as eating food sacrificed to idols. But I think the idea is that like some celebrity or some person pretending to be a deity is like filled with the spirit of like some other deity or something, some lesser deity, also known as a daimonion or a demon. But it's just anything that's a lesser spiritual entity than Yahweh. That's what technically a demon is. It's not a red guy. And they basically like, my guess was, took Stefanie Joosten's virginity, or like made some porn of her, or like whatever. And the whole point is to just like beat me down. I mean, they even like stripped her naked in pictures, and like had her comment, "I am what I am. I do what I do." Well, the idea is that they're mocking Yahweh, whose name means "I am that I am." I'm like, again, why is this coming out of Japan? Is this some kind of dragon? Well, the dragon's fucked. Like, it's dead. And like, this is only going to get more obvious, and whoever, like, what happened in the darkness is going to be lit up, right? You get it? I mean, maybe struck by lightning itself, but and then I will think the whole thing with Alessandra Ambrosio is like, the next step is like her, and then her using her daughter in that same way as I just described Stefanie Joosten, right? So Anja Ambrosio, the whole idea is to like sacrifice her to idols or something. Seems like it. If I'm wrong, I mean, how about you engage me, because you're clearly trying to hold some kind of dialogue in silence using picture communication instead of speaking about things like face to face, or being like kind, as most of these celebrities want to pretend they are, but they're, based on my experience, some of the worst people that exist. But I can't get anybody to seemingly speak for my interests, so even though I think what I'm saying is pretty agreeable, right? And it makes sense of what I'm talking about with all this, or what the Bible talks about with the seven churches thing. But when I'm explaining it like this, it makes a whole lot of sense. Yeah, the food sacrifice to idols thing is not talking about food, it's talking about sexuality. And like you go back in the Old Testament that's supported by, I don't know, read the Song of Solomon. When they're talking about eating food in that, they're definitely talking about sex. It's not. It's not food. I mean, it is food. And give me food, I'm hungry. All kinds, from everywhere. I think Jesus deserves it, and he seems to be passing along to me, and it says he'll come in and eat with me, and I'm hungry. Yeah. Alessandra Ambrosio, if you're not Jezebel, you're welcome too. In fact, you're the queen. But if you are Jezebel, well then, you're still the queen Jezebel, but, it's just really a bad situation for you. But, I don't know. Are you a terrible, evil, unkind human being, or are you, like, a decent person? I don't... The opposite of that? Well, probably that would mean just reach out ASAP. Whatever, so you have free will to be a terrible person. So I understand why Yahweh gives people free will. I just don't like being abused by people's free will. It sucks. It feels like Alessandra Ambrosio's friend, Fernanda Mota, and even Isabel Grutman. It's like, why is all... It seems like they're doing similar things with, with Alessandra. I mean, in the same way that Alessandra did with Anja. And it's just like, maybe, maybe the whole point of what it talks about with Jezebel is she's creating a bad example and, like, making abuse, like a psychosexual abuse of one specific person or just any people, like, common. Like, it's hard to really break this down in one of these lightning labs, but, like, making that the norm seems pretty terrible to me. So that would make sense of why, Jezebel is dealt with like she is. It says Yahweh does it, and it says that, the person who's conquering it, the church, is seemingly rebuked for having to deal with her or for forgiving her or something, which... Anyway. Yeah. Some interesting lightning the other night. I don't even know. I don't even think the line of storm is bad. I think it might just be right above us right now. It's starting to rain here. Speaking of people in Houston, like, I was watching that. Just, by the way, I'm going to say this in a lot of these videos until it gets fixed, but KHOU 11 storm tracking thing that was on earlier, that's normally on, well, I clicked it and Kim Castro was talking. Actually, before that, it's Tim Pandajis, but then, hey, look, you're welcome, Tim. And Kim. Tim and Kim. Yeah. They put their... Channel 11 puts their stuff on YouTube. And since I'm on YouTube, and, like, I just click on it because it's... you go as a news channel, you go to where the people are on YouTube. So, anyway, Yahweh. It still has this issue on the stream where whenever there's, like, this was more apparent when Kim was there because, so as Kim Castro is standing in front of the, like, screen that has the animation going, when the animation is there and there's a lot of lightning strikes and there's a lot of stuff going on the screen, it's too much information for whatever the computer that's streaming the thing is, the bitrate is too low. And so everything gets really blurry, including Kim Castro. And I think Kim Castro is very attractive. She's a hottie. And I want to look at Kim Castro, right? And so, and Tim, he's pretty handsome too, but this is more for Kim. I know it's like Pride Month or whatever, but, more into Kim than Tim. But handsome dude. Anyway. Kim is attractive. I'm not kidding. But when it's doing its animation, you can't even see her. She's, like, blurred out. It's, like, completely completely pixelated, right? Channel 11, would you please fix this? I can't say this in every video, though. It's like, I feel like there's a bit of like impulse to get this fixed on my end. And it's like, there's no way someone from Channel 11 ain't seeing this now or something. Like, I think people are just pretending that they aren't seeing whatever. But can y'all fix this? I want to see Kim Castro. She's super hot, so like, you know, let me see her. She's all blurry, right? Is that like a real? That's like a real, realistic reason as to why you should fix that. It's like it can't see your very attractive anchor people, right? So you got to fix it now, right? Yeah. But remember that one time I brought it up and I was laughing, and there's just like it almost sounded like an explosion, like thunder. It's like a flash and just bam. Sounded like some of that indignant lightning. I do enjoy these lightning labs because I get to like kind of talk and decompress in a way, and like I'm trying to articulate what's going on here as good as I can. It's just a lot, and sometimes it comes out as word vomit or whatever. You know what I mean? Just me getting out 30 concepts at one time, but I'm working on it. So try to articulate this as well as I think I've articulated it pretty well, honestly. You can hear me breathe out and like exhale, right? But like the thought that I was about to like literally just about to say was, this is about the time when I'd be like, maybe I should start talking now, and then lightning. That's what I mean when I'm like, like obviously Yahweh knew that that I wouldn't like I was about to, but that I didn't, and like I think that was just a little thing from him to me to be like, yeah, gotcha. Sometimes when I'm walking over here, I mean, just even planning on a walk, it's like I can feel it. So, all right, you can see the lightning. I have the lightning toggled on now. I didn't have it on previous videos. I think it's actually about to start entering the view of the iPhone now, more than probably the GoPro. Though I'm pretty positive the GoPro will pick it up unless it's directly in that viewing corridor. And then if it's in that viewing corridor, it's good anyway because it's in the iPhone view. So And some of it is like, the stuff that I'm explaining, like with the Dynamo and with Stefanie Joosten. It's like, and seemingly being like harassed or antagonized by celebrities or some group of people watching my private. It feels like the Truman Show, but it could be a smaller subset of people. Whatever. But it's like disappointing that that's reality, right? I feel like kind of the point of having faith and, what it talks about biblically is like Yahweh can fix it, right? And like, I really believe that he will. And like, just have to keep having faith and believing in him. And someone Roberto Tejon commented something about the points that I'm making about a virgin Christian wife, and all the other things are like agreeable, and I appreciated that. Again, I'm feeling like whatever Truman Show thing feels like. I don't know, is that a real person? I saw that there's a person who also comments LTF Melanie, and it's like, and there's someone who I met at one of these raves that I go to, and for like dubstep and EDM or whatever, and he goes by Nemo _ LTF, and I'm like, is this some kind of connection? It's just like it's probably an acronym that means something. Is this supposed to communicate a point to me or something? I don't know, but kind of my point is like, okay, so like, what do I do if I, what does someone do who's like, I would like well, at this point, to me, this is why I think the whole one like a son of man on Mount Zion with 144,000 virgins is like, I don't think I could just trust one woman at this point. I specifically have been attacked, and seemingly it's like part of the literal biblical narrative. It's like, if you are the person conquering at the seven churches, that that's actually like part of the narrative. That is the narrative. And so, but that the way it seems, Jesus saying he'll make it up is like a harem of 144,000 virgins plus, I don't know, Alessandra Ambrosio and other celebrities or whatever. I don't. Just guessing. Everyone, like, what's off limits if we're on the throne of Yahweh? But I guess probably Yahweh wouldn't do certain things, right? I even do think some of the stuff is like there is a rebuke at the fourth church, seemingly associated with that. So, that being said, like, okay, hypothetically, someone sees this and is like willing to try to be like, well, here's a virgin Christian wife. It's like, could I ever trust that? I mean, undergoing what I've gone. I could trust 144,000 virgins because it's like literally an army of women who's like, you're the first in. It's like your conquest is the way that seemingly people are doing sexuality these days. I think the point is for them to be like, to support the one like a son of man on the throne, or on Mount Zion, and seemingly Jesus, you know, passing it to the one that conquers at the seven churches. It says like it does. It's like, I'll come in and eat with you. 44,000 virgin buttholes to eat. Thanks. Eating booty. But part of the this whole thing regarding like virginity and all this stuff is it like forces people to like engage in a reality that is just like the way people do sexuality now is so stupid. It's like, I mean, it's like snake-like and transactional, but it's like people want to live in a fantasy land where it's like, oh, well, let's get married. It's like, like what? What? I don't think you get what marriage is, but I even think that's when Jesus is talking to the woman at the well, and he's like, you've had this many wives, I mean, this many husbands, and the one that you're with now is your husband or is not your husband, whatever. I don't want to butcher it and paraphrase. I'm even doing a bad job paraphrasing it. So, but you get it. Like, one thing about this storm too, by the way, is that the lightning isn't like constant. So if there's a thing that I do and then you see a thing, it's like less likely that you could just be like, well, it's a lightning storm. It's like, okay, yeah, kind of, yeah. This is a good example when it's like so spaced out like this, and yet there's some. I think there have been some pretty, cool examples of lightning in this, and probably will be some more. That like, they seem to happen. It seems to be when I'm doing something, right? Like, there's that really crazy one earlier. Was I think I got into my thigh or hip on this kind of thing. I'll say it again, obviously, when I go back over and timestamp it. But Kim Castro, you're pretty attractive. You want to join my harem? I'm kind of into weather. I mean, actually, kind of into weather, right? Is that a match made in heaven? I don't know, maybe reach out and say, yo, what's up, Matt? Like, right? I mean, I feel like this only gets more obvious from here, and like, I think people are gonna feel terrible when it's like, we've had all the chance in the world to reach out and like fix an obvious wrong, and then none of them have done it. In fact, they've only seemingly sat there and antagonized me because they're trying to antagonize Yahweh, I think, and it's like, look, you're just being an abusive person. Like, you aren't a good person in any instance if you're doing that kind of thing. Especially when you can see the stuff that seems to go on. Like, I think it's at this point, it's very strongly hinting at it. And like, I think at a certain point, it's just like, the revelation, lift the veil on that. This guy's the guy on the throne of Yahweh. Here in the city. Yah. IAH. Yah. Houston's airport code. Houston is Yah, right? Flying to Miami, it's MIA. Flying to Houston, you fly into Yah. Well, guess who lives in Houston? Yah. Oh, it's probably the guy on the throne of Yahweh with the name written on it. Probably that name being Yah. definitely conquering at the seventh or sixth church, right? But just in terms of you want to bring up Disney. Well, okay, I am Yoda. That is me, like actually Yoda, and Disney gave Yoda lightning powers, which I think they probably had to do that, but in order to try to deal with whatever front run the fact that actual Yoda was going to have lightning powers. So if someone's going to try to manipulate whatever the concept of Yoda is, they're going to have to front run lightning powers, right? Oh, it's just the Force. No, it's Yahweh, right? It's Yah, the God of the Bible, who is way kinder than most people believe, but he's also like you have to balance dealing with like I can very clearly see like dealing with the world. You have to balance, I think, severity and judgment. Are you gonna like strength or severity and judgment, and on one side, and on the other side you got to balance ever loving kindness and mercy, right? I think this is a Kabbalistic concept, but it's also just, okay, well, there are certain things within these concepts that are somewhat real, right? It just makes, it logics out, but I don't think it's the important thing that you're supposed to get from it. They're just Hebrew words and, like, some wisdom that you can gather from it, but I don't think it's like the thing. But anyway, and definitely, Yahweh is the highest, most high deity, not some deity called Ein Sof. But, Yahweh's like, I think a lot of people think of Yahweh as like super vengeful, and people think of Jesus as like kind, right? And like, you have to have a balance because there is wrong, and if you're going to have a world with right, you have to get rid of that wrong, and you have to judge it, right? And I think that's all why the whole judgmental deity thing. But the out is that if you believe in Jesus and you're like living in that spirit, believe in Yahweh, Jesus is Yahweh, and you're living in that spirit, then you're good. You have an out. And I think, one thing you can see from these videos is like, with the kind of interaction that doesn't seem to happen with anybody else in the world that I could see, seemingly is the type of thing that you would think of like, some kind of biblical prophet or, Jesus or something like interacting in a similar way with storms or whatever to try to like make a point. Like this seems like a good way to get over certain points and explain things, and like I can see there's like a lot of wolves trying to like in different churches like trying to misdirect things, and it's like I would even say for like whatever different groups, it's like it causes problems for like other groups like LGBTQ whatever. It's like I think most genuine Christians aren't trying to like bother the alphabet soup of of the Rainbow Coalition. They're like most genuine Christians are like seeking his kingdom first and his righteousness. His righteousness, Yahweh Sukanu. Yahweh our righteousness. That's the name of the righteous branch of David, and that's Jesus. That's why Jesus is Yahweh. From the Old Testament. There you go. But anyway, so my point here is like, these wolves have infiltrated the church, all the churches. Like, it's like problematic for all sorts of groups because most of the people, again, that I think you're like with are like not actually Christian, because like actual Christians would be trying to deal with what I'm talking about, like fix this massive problem that's happened that I've seemingly been attacked in this way, and like I don't know who attacked me. Is it rainbow flag people? Kojima threw up a rainbow flag thing on his on his Kojima Productions thing. I mean, it is 5 months, and I'm just kind of whatever. But the whole point is, I feel like there's a lot of people who are watching or like hinting that they're watching that could actually make some kind of difference. You know, be like a good, genuinely kind person or something, and like engage this as it actually is happening, and then just nobody is, which kind of sucks, honestly. But holding out faith and hope that Yahweh will fix it. It's like we're, despite nobody saying anything, like he will, like his will happen regardless. And like if I'm in line with that, and seemingly the seven churches stuff is in line with that, obviously it's literally written in the Bible, then I believe him. And even just what I'm saying about like Christianity and virgin wives and like Christianity. I say this to any Christian group. Where do you think the men are supposed to get like virgin wives? I mean, is the whole thing to be a cucked Christian or something? Is that what you're trying to do? Like, because I think most of our society is like cucked, which is if you're into that, okay, whatever. I just don't want to be forcibly cucked, right? And it seems like people are getting their rocks off trying to do that, and that's what the whole like sacrifice to idols thing is, and it's really rapey. And, like, so basically, the fact that there's like a mechanism where some kind of corporate machine has created this Stefanie Joosten character, and she's like some kind of weird cuckold rape device that was used to like psychologically abuse and torment me, and is still being used in that way. And seemingly, like, you know, people like Alessandra Ambrosio look like she's aware of it and is either participating in it and has done the same thing with her daughter, or, you know, what, you know, again, like, or if that's not the case, and it looks like you're watching, maybe say something to me. I'm the person that matters in this. Like, if you want whatever, it's like it doesn't matter what other people think about this situation. Engage me, just like you would another person, you know, where we talk things through. Again, that would be the kind thing to do. And while Yahweh is all about kindness, it does not seem like celebrities are all about kindness. In fact, it seems like the opposite, which is kind of like a no-duh situation. But at a certain point, you become so hypocritical. It's like, why would people hear, like, if this thing has happened with Stefanie Joosten, right, and these people are doing this, why would people still render goods and services to you when you're like literally trying to tear down society using like cuckold rape fake women to like honeypot seemingly specifically me, but I guess the point could be, you know, whoever else falls for it too. But pretty fucked up in my opinion. But you know, maybe call me old fashioned. Again, it sounds super rapey to me. I mean, it seems super rapey to me. When I called it out for that and I like exploded in anger in one of the videos from 2018 I did, El Popo in Mexico explodes at the same time. And like, considering you see the lightning stuff that seems to go on with me, the more this goes on, the more it becomes obvious. Well, the volcano's exploding when I'm doing stuff, and I, you know, in the old videos did it. It's like at a certain point, it's just I've proven it out, and you're just denying reality if you're gonna. Which is when I think Yahweh really kicks it up, because when at that point it's like, well, then he doesn't have to play within the rules, and the only thing he's playing within is the way the world is going to unfold is going to be what Revelation says. Which, if you think of the fact that Israel now exists again, and like it looks like at some point in the pretty near future, a third temple is going to be built. Doesn't look like like we're that far off from that whole thing playing out. So, and that's at that point it's like, okay, we're here. We're at Revelation. That's what you're. If that's how it unfolds, which it looks like it. Yeah. Let me check what their storm cells are real fast. Okay, I mean, keep looking for a bit. Should be like right in that corridor, which we did see that one where I brought up Kim Castro earlier. So. I'll say the lightning in this one, while there have been some instances that seem tied to the right side of the body stuff, I mean, seems more associated with the narrative that I'm discussing, talking about, or at least, you know, it's when the more impressive lightning has happened, so. We'll go for a little longer. I said in the past, usually like near the end of videos or whatever is when some of the most spectacular lightning seems to happen. So, or that was a consistent theme for a bit, but. Just give it a little bit more time. Like I was talking about Kabbalah earlier, it's like I do this fitness thing here in Houston called Sphere, and it's like soccer fitness, and it was started by Mike Chabala, who's a former Diamond player. I was just looking through Instagram earlier, and I saw him posting up some stuff, but like one of the thoughts that I've had, I was thinking about Kabbalah, and I was like, I thought of that concept. I was like, that sounds a lot like Chabala. Is his name Mike? Are you Mike Kabbalah? And what's interesting is in Kabbalah, like the tree of life is a concept, and there's these things called sphirot, which are like these, you know, you draw out this tree of life, and on it there are sphirot, or sphere. There's Sephiroth or Sephiroth, guess if you're a Final Fantasy VII lover, that's where his name comes from. But it's like they're spheres, right? So I just think it's funny that Mike Chabala, who I guess for all intents and purposes in this thing that I'm saying, this bit or whatever, is like Mike Kabbalah, and he runs Sphero, right? Just something I thought was interesting. Is that more of that Disney magic? By the way, the name Michael means who is like El. Mika El. Who is like El is the response to that. In someone's case, Kabbalah is that someone's response. What I actually think that is you were like, who is this character in Revelation 12, or who is this character in Daniel 10 and 12? Revelation 12, Daniel 12, but also Daniel 10. Michael is the prince, and I suppose the other guy is people call Gabriel, but anyway, Michael is the one mentioned in the book of Revelation, and it's, the name is a question. Who is like El? And El is the Hebrew word for God, deity. And in Zechariah, maybe Zechariah 12, but it's one of the latter chapters. There's specifically this part where it's talking about like the one who is about to fall will be like David on that day, and the house of David will be like God, like the angel of Yahweh. And it's like, okay, well maybe this character from the book of Revelation is the one, like someone who's on, like, I guess the throne of the house of David, and like I think that would be probably what I'm guessing is maybe that is partially the throne. It's like the throne of Yahweh is what Jesus is talking about, but he's also talking about this throne, and the one sitting on this throne will be like El, right? That could be what this character of Michael is, so it could be that too. Just thought. Or, for Muslims, like Al, as in the Al from Allah, because I don't think Allah actually comes from Al-Ilah. I think it just is taken from El, or El, Aleph, Lamed, Hey, and then that turns into Allah. I mean, even when you go into Strong's Concordance, there's a word that is literally spelled out in English, like it's transliterated, A-L-L-A-H, and it is a tree, an oak, a terebinth, because that's, like a mighty, like a strong thing, right? And an L is like a strong thing, supposedly. So, but again, with Allah, it's like El is just a generic title. Any god, in Hebrew, any deity from anywhere is an El. They're the El, and like, I mean, I guess to Muslims, El is the El. So, and El meaning deity or God. Like, who is the God? Who is the deity? And like, to Muslims, the deity or the God. And it's like, well, to Christians and Jews, Yahweh. And to Christians, Jesus is Yahweh. manifest in the flesh. And then to Christians who are paying attention, in Revelation it says, to someone who conquers at the 7 churches, I'll grant you to sit on this throne. And so I think that's, me, yeah, duh, Yoda, duh. But, yeah. But yeah, name a deity from some religion and it's referred to as El or Allah. In fact, Allah might even be feminine. Like Allat is feminine. You don't want to get into there's a whole thing in the Islamic tradition where with Muhammad praying to Allah and other what would generally be considered pagan or polytheistic deities, because the origins of Islam are actually polytheistic and pagan, and that's why they wheel NASCAR 7 times around this hypercube, and there's a black stone that they kiss and it forgives their sins, just like the white stone that is Jesus that forgives your sins. You see why this is a thing that's it's literally just built as a fan fiction to try to steal away the belief of people and then use that belief. I think it's a group of witches or some deity from some other place doing it, but that's just me using my brain. And I think whoever's manipulating that whole situation is counting on Muslims not using their brain. So, and just being irrationally incensed at people making sense around this topic. So, if you're Muslim, there is one L or Al, and it's Yah, right? Yahweh. Yao. So the answer to who is El? Yah. That's why Elijah, the prophet, Yah, the prophet, Elijah, or name whatever biblical character. The name, it's like Elijah or Joel is Yah is El. So there you go. Again, El just means deity. It's a generic title. So Allah is just a generic title for a deity. It's not an actual name. It's just a generic title. Read it. It's like, can some entity create a Mecca? I think that's the whole idea. I think is, can some entity create a Mecca and steal that away from a giant, Japanese fighting robot Mecca to fight the Christ body and steal away? It's like a robot trying to fight the Christ body. It's like trying to steal away belief. I think Yahweh is just well, people have free will. They'll believe. Even the elect can be fooled if they are allowed, whatever. So, but, seemingly what he's offering as a reward for being awake during the time and going through it and dealing with the difficulties is seems like he's offering infinity. I'll take it. I'll take being Jesus or Yah on the throne. That would be cool with me. Even just here in America, it's I think there are people who are using whatever to steal away reality, and America seems to be behind on this or something. I can't see through everything because it looks like there's a bunch of magic here even being used to or something is being used to try to obfuscate the truth around me, just maybe staying in silence even though it's the Truman Show. And it's okay, well, I think Yahweh makes this a problem for everybody, and your options are, if you follow Yahweh, it's Kingdom of Heaven. And when I say Kingdom of Heaven, there's a singularity in the future where a being with infinite power has ended death, has ended of all the problems and ills of mankind, and we go into that singularity, and it's just one timeline where there's not all these divergent paths where people are, where it's at the system level there's chaos and it's a bunch of states or non-governmental actors or whatever fighting for power. It is just Yahweh has power. Yahweh is power. Yahweh is, right? And anything else that's trying to challenge Yahweh will not be, right? And so
it seems to me like the best choice, just the most reasonable one, is the party where you don't die and like all your desire, like everything that you could want is fulfilled, and it's like, does it sound like a terrible? Like, is what I'm describing? Does it sound terrible? Because it sounds great to me. It sounds like, you know, sounds better than the alternative. It's like when you die, that's not the end of things. It's like, in fact, hell itself gets tossed into like a worse place in Revelation. So I definitely don't want to go there. So how about that never-ending party? And it's not in the sky; it's just here, and all the things, when they're talking about, oh, we're gonna be this level of civilization, and it's like, no, we're already past that. You're saying, oh, we're a type 1 civilization, type 2, type 3, and it's like, no, Yahweh is just existent. And at this point in the singularity, it's just like, we are a type infinity civilization. You get it at that point, and just like that. And anything that was causing problems or blocking that, or like adversarial to that, the word in Hebrew means is Satan. So anything satanic against that is like dealt with harshly. Anything supporting that is blessed infinitely. Since there's infinite resources, infinite everything, it's like, why couldn't you do that? So it's just obvious to me, but I use this, and a lot of people don't. And I use this too because you want there to be. You want it to come from a place of kindness too. It's just difficult at times, but or it can be. Look, I've been talking, and there haven't been any lightning for like 20 minutes, I think. Something about that. So I'm thinking I'm just gonna wrap this up at an hour and 30 minutes, which means I should go get the GoPro and bring it back up. And is that a flash? Oh, I'm not gonna stay around just because that flash. Because I'd like to make this, and it'll be an hour and 30 minutes, but like really only an hour worth of time stamping. And then, I'm working on the compilation. Hopefully, I'll get it together, and it'll just be so obvious. We're at Lightning Lab number 5, but I don't know, how many storms I've already seen that, like 30 storms, 20 storms this year, and I didn't even catch like the one with the tornado earlier. Like, there's just I've missed a few, and like just because whatever reason I was working on music stuff or whatever. So, yeah, I'm gonna go get the GoPro. So I'll be right back. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Surprise, surprise, the GoPro overheated again. I didn't think that, I figured if there was going to be rain, the rain cools it, right? But there wasn't rain. I mean, not to the degree that was needed to keep it cool. And it's not. It's 74 degrees outside, and so in that scorching heat, the GoPro overheats. GoPro, you have to work on those thermals. This is I can't be every time. I shouldn't have to use a desk fan to cool off the GoPro. It should just be like the thermal should be managed better. Like in the GoPro 9 and before. But since GoPro 9, so 10 and 11, the thermals have been terrible. And it's the new processor. It's just like it runs too hot, and like I don't need more resolution. I need it to last, in wherever and not die. So can we do that, GoPro? That'd be great. Okay, end rant. /rant. Okay, so that's gonna be the end of this video. Hopefully, I hope the GoPro was on when the cool lightning was happening. I mean, like, do you see why this would be frustrating, GoPro? Anyway, all right. In this here, so I hope you've enjoyed. Alessandra Ambrosio, get at me, as I usually say, unless you're Jezebel, and then I guess that doesn't make sense. I just don't want that to be the case, but okay. Kim Castro, get at me. Hey, yo, and you can clearly see the lighting stuff. Might be reasonable to just at least say, yo, hi, Matt, you exist. You didn't deserve, whatever. Stefanie Joosten and whatever people have done to you. Or maybe you're just joining it. Then whatever. So I don't know. But alright, I hope you guys have a blessed one, and it's been Lightning Lab number 005. Later. Yeah. Well. Okay. I hope you enjoyed that. For the sake of keeping these short, I'm gonna just try to end it pretty quickly here. But I hope you enjoyed that. I think there were probably some good examples of lightning that if the GoPro was on, it caught it. I believe if the GoPro wasn't on, the iPhone camera didn't catch everything, which is a problem. That's why having the GoPro is nice. That's why I don't want it to overheat. That's why GoPro. You have to fix this problem. If you release the GoPro 12 and it just overheats, I think people will just never buy it. That would legitimately it's like you don't listen to people on what they want. You just make a product and you're like, oh, we're not going to listen to the people who actually buy the product. So maybe we'll see what happens. We'll see if it caught it. Please, I hope it caught it, because that will be so frustrating. You get why that would be frustrating, GoPro? Anyway. Okay, well, hope you guys have enjoyed, whatever people that I've named that, you could get at me and say, hey, whatever, this is either happening or it's not. At some point, you don't think something's gonna force it? Again, if Yahweh forces it, he will force it, right? I'm just cooperating with Yahweh, but I think at some point Yahweh forces it. I'm I don't need to force it, but my heavenly Father, Yah, will. And I guess if I'm on the throne of my heavenly Father, well, that would make sense as to why it's happening. So, Yah. Or on the throne of Jesus. Jesus is Yah. So, Jesus is yo? Yeah? Okay. Anyway, have a blessed one. I'm out of here. Later. Yeah.